Giddy up.
Hello and welcome everyone to the ISCA Thursday Cup Series. Having a little bit of some technical issues tonight when it comes to establishing the league session here at Richmond, but definitely still excited to be here. The show must go on as we have a 250 lap race here on the docket at Richmond Raceway. This 3/4 of a mile racetrack, and that means we're going to have 187 miles to complete here tonight, and this is going to be quite the tall task for these guys to tackle. Of course, my name is Brian Britt, and I'm joined in the booth by none other than Big Al. How you doing tonight, Big Al?
Hey, Brian, doing pretty good here, man. Excited to be back in the South of sorts because Virginia is kind of the South, and Richmond is the king of the short track. So tonight we're going to be mixing it up a little bit here. Can't wait to see what this one's going to pull out for us.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely going to be a big race here for these drivers. Quite a tall task. Of course, we were at COTA last week, and that was a tall task in and of itself. But I don't know if this is not a taller task, I wouldn't say. But I think some of these drivers definitely going to bite off a little bit more than they can chew, just considering the way the cars have been handling thus far this week in the officials. A lot of drivers been complaining about the car being very, very loose in the beginning and very, very tight towards the end. Tires are going to be a huge deal tonight. I know in some of the official races I've seen myself, it's been over 2 seconds in fall off, and it could even bring the strategy in when it comes to pitting just for tires and not even worried about fuel. Speaking of that, let's actually take a look at the race fact. Pulling those up right now. As I mentioned before, this is the AutoZone 250 at Richmond, 250 laps here. Stages are 50 and 115. Of course, race ending on 250. 5 sets of tires, 4 are actually going to be down in the pits, and that is going to be quite a low number considering how much tires matter here at this track. Fuel is not going to be an issue at all, I do not believe. 128 laps, these guys can make it, so we'll have to wait and see how that kind of turns out. Of course, as I mentioned in the officials I've seen, if you're doing an 80-lap run, Big Al, you might want to split that in half, even though you can make it 80 laps on fuel and much further. It's not really worth it. You gain so much more time by pitting and taking those tires, and I've seen that time and time again this week.
So I guess my biggest question to you is going to be, is it really worth it to come down for tires only? You know, because this is going to be a short track. So do you think we're going to have a lot of contact? Do you foresee there being a lot of cautions out here tonight?
There could be. I mean, it really just depends. Of course, short track competition usually does lend to a lot of beating and banging and physicality. But I'm not sure. I mean, I think that ISCA, we always know these guys to be very, very clean when they do races. No matter where we go, it usually is very, very clean. So I expect these guys to keep that, honored tradition in the ISCA alive. We'll have to wait and see how that kind of all works out. But I think it is going to be worthwhile to come down pit road and grab tires. I don't know about just taking tires only because, of course, without taking fuel, that does change the balance of the race car quite a bit. Now, if you know what you're doing and you're able to make adjustments to adjust for that, then that might be worthwhile.
Yeah, and definitely with the 2 caution breaks, with the 2 stage breaks that are going to be there, the stage cautions, that's going to also going to help these guys out. But I'm going to be interested to see what that third stage is going to be like. What it's going to be like between laps 115 and laps 250, because that's where the tail of the tape is going to be really stretched out here tonight.
100%. While we have a moment here before qualifying is over, let's take a gander at the Super Cup points here. Brandon Paslakwa, of course, I do believe did very well last week. Finished, I do believe, in the top 3 at COTA. Of course, was not able to win the race, but he does have 1 race win on the season. Of course, 5 top 5. So he has been the most consistent out of everybody at the moment. And that's what it takes to win a Super Cup championship. Brian Johnson, of course, has also won a race this Super Cup season. He has 3 top 5, so not as good, as consistent as Brandon Paslakwa, but he's definitely been doing well. Kenny Powell also been very consistent. He sits up in the 3rd spot. Scott Naslin sits in 4th in the points. Chris Johnson sits in 5th. Greg Wachinski in 6th. Of course, Josh Schaffner all the way back here in 7th, but he does have 1 win and 2 top 5s and some playoff points. Of course, quite a bit of berth in between him and the top in the points. Of course, Abner Acosta, last week's winner at COTA, and what a dominant show that Abner Acosta put on. I don't believe we'll see him out here in competition here tonight. But Derek Heitman also not going to be in top competition. He's in 9th place right now. I do believe he's tackling Road to Pro. And rounding out our top 10 in points is Ryan Strunk. With that, I think now's the perfect time to go ahead and play our national anthem as we get ready to get this racing action underway. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
Your car is everything. Your taxi, your moving van, your baby. And for over 30 years, AutoZone has had the parts you can count on to keep it going. But parts are just part of what we do. We're part buddy, part mentor, part of the American way of doing things. So whether you're Mr. DIY or a master mechanic, AutoZone has your back. Parts are just part of what we do.
Get in the zone!
AutoZone.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so comfortable, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We have the grid set for this evening's action. Brian Johnson going to be starting up on the pole with a 22.109. Definitely a very, very fast lap around Richmond Raceway. Brandon Passalacqua comes into a close second, 22.128. Definitely very quick time from him as well. Third place going to be Randy Mullins. Scott Naslin's going to be starting in fourth place. Fifth place going to be Chris Johnson. Josh Schottner starts in sixth place. Seventh place going to be Mark Sanchez. Eighth place, Jose Acosta. Ninth place, J.C. Evans. And rounding out the top 10, I should say, is Darren Mullins.
That's right. That's going to put Greg Wachinski in 11th with Al Koslowski in 12th. Kenny Powell starts 13th with Shane Parrish on his outside in 14th. 15th place, Paul Olsen with Greg Carr in 16th. 17th sees Ryan Strunk, Alexander Carr in 18th. And Derek Jacobs rounds out this 19-car field.
Yeah, definitely a pretty good size field here. 19 cars going to be tackling this three-fourths of a mile racetrack, of course, and a little bit lighter than I expected, but I think because of the issues we kind of had, some drivers maybe not able to make it into the grid. Of course, we did have some issues with the league not displaying the actual session, so we had to go to a backup hosted session, but the show must go on. We are going to get our 250 in here tonight, Big Al, is, of course, the pace car lights should be, they're already out, but I do believe with short tracks, you do have two pace lamps that you have to see. Of course, these guys are going to definitely be getting a little nervous, I'd say, on those pace laps. But you talk about it. This is short track racing. This is where a lot of drivers are probably going to be beating and banging. If you've been done wrong this season, this could be the place you do your retribution, if you will.
Well, this is the place that these guys come to do work, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Pace cars off and away.
And there it is. The green flag is out for the first time here tonight. Brian Johnson with a good launch. Brandon Passalacqua, though, still side by side going into turn one. And top line is a strong thing around Richmond, especially in this car. This is a low downforce package, which it gives these guys the ability to possibly make runs on the high side. But, of course, you're going to not want to run up there too much because that will burn the tires up quite quickly. But Brian Johnson has secured the lead. He's got about a 0.2 of a second lead on Brandon Passalacqua at the moment. Side by side, I do believe, for the 5th place position at the moment. Josh Schaffner running around the high side. You see Jose Acosta. He's in the 82, but, of course, usually is in the 42. So that's going to be a little bit of a point of confusion, I'd say, for us up here in the booth.
Yeah, nothing. Not really, though, because it's still in that John Deere green color. And, nothing runs like a deer. So good to see Jose back down there tonight doing battle. Got Josh Schaffner right behind him. But like you said, these guys are going to be doing a battle here tonight. It's going to be a long one, Brian. And it seems like we have already got down to single file race.
Yeah, for the most part, it looks like everybody has single file out. We do see some battling in the mid-pack. Of course, trying to figure out who that is. That's the point of contention. You're trying to find the car that number belongs to.
I believe that's the 14 of John C. Evans right there. And he is
I think you're right,
actually being sandwiched by the 29. That's Mark Sanchez. And then the 64, that's going to be Darren Mullins. But actually, I'm seeing him as the 17.
Yeah, definitely a lot of we'll get used to it as the race goes on, as we complete lap number 5. So already flying by really quickly here.
Hey, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Looks like Greg Wachinski's got some new britches on.
Does he now? I mean, looks like the same paint scheme we've seen him in before. Maybe you're seeing a different paint scheme than I am, possibly? Or?
No, it just seems to be a brighter shade of red.
I say, this looks like the same paint scheme. Maybe it's the sunlight out here, maybe making it look a little bit more vibrant. I know that these guys did practice quite a bit. I know we did have a little bit of an issue. Usually we have ISCA, they have an hour of practice for the series. The guys were not able to have that. So what they did is they went into official practice sessions. A lot of these drivers went into official practice sessions and put in some really long runs just to make sure that they had everything they needed and kind of all the setups in perfect working order. But one thing about that, these guys practicing in that different session, this could be totally different condition-wise, Big Al.
Yeah, I mean, but it's race time, so I think no matter what the preparations were to get to the event, everybody actually, the end moment is getting here to start the race. So far, looks like we're on lap 8, and it's been good to go thus far, with the only tragedies being that the 19 and the 43 might be off the pace just a little bit. That's going to be Derek Jacobs and Paul Osen.
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely a track that if you're not good at getting on the brake pedal and really being easy on the application of the throttle, you will find yourself struggling quite a bit around this racetrack. So hopefully those guys are able to kind of get a little bit more muscle memory, a little bit more track time. I know Paul Olsen was one that didn't have a lot of time to practice this week. But we do see Scott Naslin starting to put some pressure here on Brandon Passalacqua. Looks like Naslin brought himself a hot rod tonight. Also Randy Mullins right there as well. So it looks like a lot of fast cars right now that definitely have come here to duke it out as we complete lap number 10.
Yeah, 10 laps of 50, and I'm telling you, looking at the pace and how some guys are falling off the pace, that's just going to let me know that we're not even all going to be on the same lap once we make it around to that first stage caution. So 43, Paul Osen already down on pit road. I think he's going to definitely come down to make some necessary adjustments. Hopefully he's not hanging his hat up. Come on, Paul, stay and play.
That's right, definitely stay and play. As we see, definitely the battle starting to heat up a little bit towards the front. These guys all up on top of each other. Chris Johnson is starting to enter the fray as well, who sits in 5th. Of course, he's having a little bit of a blinking issue. Last lap was not counted, so hopefully we'll have to keep an eye on that. He's always plagued with those sort of issues.
I think we're going to have a lot of issues here tonight. We just got to be cautious. Everybody has to be cautious in order to get through this thing because it's going to be a long one.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, 187 laps, or miles, I should say, that these guys have to complete here, and it's going to be a tough one. I mean, might even be tougher than COTA. I mean, these guys, of course, used a lot of muscles they weren't used to using last week.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be, whoa, look at Kenny Powell gets by the 5 of Wachinski, but that actually not as smooth as he wanted as the 77. Actually, sorry, I don't.
That was, I do believe, Ryan Strunk was getting really close to getting into the 5 of Wachinski. But, yeah, you saw that. And one thing about it,
he actually did make contact with him.
And Greg Wachinski and Kenny Powell have a little bit of a history this week. If you kind of are in the know when it comes to G&G, they, I think, have wrecked each other, in the officials. So it might be a little bit of bad blood between those two. But Brian Johnson is still in the lead. We do see a battle for third place. Randy Mullins gets on the inside of the 22.
Yeah, he is definitely on the inside of Scott Naslin.
Whoa, looks like Randy Mullins gets loose, and that's going to be something we're going to see a lot tonight is guys getting loose trying to get back on that gas, and that's going to put him under fire from Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson definitely taking advantage of the opportunity, and that's going to put him all the way up to 4th place. Because other than that, we were really running in the order that we kind of started, but Randy Mullins is kind of now shifting to the far side a little bit.
And speaking of that, you mentioned shifting, Big Al. That is something that we could also see around this racetrack. Of course, short tracks in this next-gen car leave a lot of wiggle room for different gear ratios that can allow you to shift and maybe get more, into that power band.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why so many drivers do like this new next-gen car, just because it does allow so many variants and adjustments to be made. Kenny Powell looking like he is actually solid right now. He's currently running in 11th place.
Yeah, and I think that this could be a really good race for him, depending on his luck, for sure. I know in a lot of the official races he's done this week, he's had some success. He's ran some top 5 races, almost have won a couple of them. So I expect that he's going to have a solid day. We'll have to wait and see how that kind of works out. Of course, Ryan Strunk is catching up to the rear end. We know that Ryan Strunk always one that seems to burn his equipment up a little bit more than others. We'll have to see if that's going to be the case here around Richmond, of course, because tires just mean so much around this place. You already look at the lap times. We're seeing significant fall off. I mean, 22.8s, 22.9s. Some people are even already into 23-second range, and I think it's going to keep going from there as we get closer and closer to the end of the stage. Of course, still 30 laps to go in stage number 1. Last week, we did not have stage cautions. This week, I do believe we will have stage cautions that will allow these guys to kind of take a breather, make adjustments, regroup, if you will.
Yeah, big difference between last week and this week, but I know these guys are glad to be back, number 1, on the East Coast. I don't know, I'm kind of prejudiced, but I just think things are better on the East Coast.
A lot of people that are from Texas are really offended right now.
Well, I'm sorry. That gives them yet another reason to be offended, right?
100%. Here comes Kenny Powell, though. We've talked about him so far tonight. It's been really strong. He is now going side by side with Mark Sanchez, trying to see if he can't get up into that 10th spot. Now, we always talk about week in and week out how important stage points are in this series. Sometimes stage points can outpoint, I should say, a win. So I think that's why we see Kenny Powell really trying to make hay while the sun shines. This way, we're verging on 3 wide, and we are 3 wide for 9th position.
And these guys are battling not only for position, but they're battling for money and momentum. And that's a big deal. Kenny Powell not wanting to yield at all. Actually, like you said, the high side is going to be the stronger side. He is determined to stay out there and make it work.
Very easy to hit that wall, though, as we almost go 4 wide. 3 wide once again. Oh, contact, the 64 into the 24, the 77 into the back of the 64. As Ryan Strunk, desperate to keep his position here. This is getting quite crazy at the moment. As Kenny Powell switches from the top to the bottom. And with this new tire model, it seems like that is one thing. If you do switch between the lines like that, a lot of times that does not work out well. considering just the way it works. A lot of times with this new tire model, it seems like if you run the top and you get used to running that top, you drop to the bottom, the car's just not going to handle right. This is where most of the battling is going on, as the 77 of Ryan Strunk has taken over that 9th spot. Here comes the 66 of Shane Parrish to the inside of the 29 of Mark Sanchez. This is where all the battling essentially is going on.
Yeah, I mean, definitely right now you're looking at Mark Sanchez, and he is wanting to do a little bit more, I think, than his car is wanting him to do. I think his tires might not be in a situation that he wants them to be, but he is kind of still willing his way around the track. We're almost halfway, well, we are halfway through this stage, over halfway through this stage.
Watch through the cockpit camera here of Mark Sanchez as he's able to watch the drivers in front of him battle it out. Looks like Kenny Powell might have overheated his tires.
Oh, you called it. You said that the tire wear was going to be one of the things they had to keep their eyes on, and if Powell's definitely...
Mark Sanchez almost took a ride through the grass.
We don't pay these guys to cut the grass.
We definitely don't. And I think he might have realized that before it was too late. Do see also Josh Schaffner, I do believe, just got by Jose Acosta. Derek Jacobs going a lap down. He is now just got into contact with the wall. So that leaves 17 drivers at the moment on the lead lap. Greg Carr, of course, being that last driver that is on the lead lap. But Brian Johnson so far has dominated. And he's one that puts in a lot of work into these race cars and makes sure he practices a lot. He's not one that really relies on a lot of setup shops. He usually likes to go in there and tinker on the car himself. And I think it shows that he definitely has a pretty good acumen when it comes to that.
Yeah, man, just unfortunate for Derek Jacobs to see is going to continue to fall back into the rest of the field.
Yeah, you definitely hate to see that. That's 100% facts. Here, let's ride on board here with the 99 of Mr. Chris Johnson. We do have a cockpit camera in here for him.
Yeah, Chris Johnson not only advancing his position right there, but actually turning a pretty fast lap.
Yeah, taking a look at it, last lap. Definitely, I don't believe was counted. I think it's because he's having a little bit of an internet connection issue, but we are able to stay on board with him and see what's kind of going on behind the camera there for him, as he's trying to run down Scott Naslin. Looking further back where we were just before, Kenny Powell has entered the top 10 once again. Of course, just got by, I do believe, J.C. Evans in the 14. So still battling going on throughout this pack. Drivers trying to get as many points as they can as we come to 15 laps to go here in the stage. Looking at lap times right now. Fastest on the track at the moment, I do believe, is still Brian Johnson. So clean air, I think it's going to be pretty important here. Second fastest on the track, I do believe, was Brandon Pasalacqua. Third fastest was Ryan Strunk, who's back in 8th. So Ryan Strunk looks like he's brought a hot rod here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even recognize his number, but then I realized it was his number. I was actually looking at the relative screen. But poor J.C. Evans, I think he did make a little bit more additional contact with the wall. That's going to allow him to fall even further back behind now.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate for that driver. Contact with the wall seems like it's almost inevitable at this sort of a racetrack. Of course, especially this being a D-shaped oval. I think the easiest place to hit the wall has got to be coming out of 2. Because, I mean, you see the kind of narrow exit that you have. The wall comes up very fast around here. As we see the 77 starting to catch up there to Jose Acosta. Going to be seeing if he can't catch up and maybe take that 6th place or 7th place position. You also see Shane Parrish, 9th place. He is right in the tire tracks of that 77. Shane Parrish looks like he's got a fast ride tonight.
Yeah, especially with 10 to go in the stage. This is about the time where drivers want to flex their muscles, see if they could actually get up and battle for position. And all of these slots, Brian, are money positions. As Shane Parrish is right there in 9th place. Kenny Powell, as you see him further in the frame, he is actually marking that 10th place point, the 10th place position, which that is the last of the point span positions. And like you mentioned earlier, these stage points matter more actually than the end of the race points.
Yeah, 100%. I think track position is going to be very important here tonight as well. Brian Johnson definitely showing that as he has about 9/10, almost a second right now on Brandon Pasalacqua. Here comes the 77, going to try to see if he can't get underneath Jose Acosta. Acosta not going to give him the lane. This is one of those tracks, so you got to take that lane. You got to muscle that guy out of the way.
Well, yeah, that's what you do. You're short track racing. I mean, this is, it's Thursday night, but this is Saturday night racing right here next to the dirt track. It's the short track. But one thing, I don't know, I can't quite remember how many drivers we did actually have to show up on that Thursday night race here last week. But one thing tonight, I know we would have had more drivers. But guys got to try to make up positions because you don't always do well when it comes to road courses.
Yeah, and you also got to keep in mind, a little bit of a lesser number here tonight at Richmond because I do believe Road to Pro is in the process of going on right now at the Texas Motor Speedway in the NASCAR truck. So I think that might have something to do with it. Just watch Shane Parrish make the pass and moves up to 8th place. He got by Ryan Strunk just now. So that 66 looking really good. And what a transition from the road course to Richmond Raceway.
Yeah, Shane Parrish definitely on a mission. He is our biggest mover thus far. Started this thing back in 14. Now he has himself up to 8th, Brian, and I don't think he's going to settle with that. As the Snakes, he's going to be trying to poke his nose on the inside of Jose Acosta. We're trying to move all the way up to what would be 7th position. Oh,
whoa!
Jose gets wide there, contact with Ryan Strunk. That's the second time that occurred. But guess what? Look, here goes the 66, and Kenny Powell slides in like a sly rascal on the inside. He's going to make himself up 2 positions as well.
Yeah, I think the 66 kind of got into the 82 there, Jose Acosta, and kind of pushed him up the track a little bit, muscled him along, and Ryan Strunk came up and kind of finished him off a little bit there. Of course, he is still driving. The contact was not substantial. Good driving there for Jose to be able to keep that thing pointed in the right direction. Greg Wyszynski, where did he come from? Here he comes to try to see if he can't get to the top 10.
Jose's fighting for his life right now because that's the transfer spot right there because these two are battling for 10th spot. So Jose might fight himself out of the money altogether, and I'm going to guarantee you that ain't going to help his cause or his attitude.
No, not at all. Definitely, this is a track where short track tempers are going to flare. Jose into the back of the 5, just a hair there.
Don't take it out of me. I'm telling you, it's going to be a little bit of some domestic assault abuse going on here tonight, Brian, as this thing goes on. I ain't trying to condone that. I don't condone it. But I got a feeling these guys are going to get a little bit more physical as we continue on here through the evening.
I condone it, Big Al. I'm going to be the one to say it. I'm brave enough. I condone it. Hey, I like to watch it. It makes it fun to call these races. I'll tell you what, to be on the outside looking in when it gets dramatic.
Yeah, well, it's definitely going to get that, and you already see right now, this is the lap. Well, we got 1 lap to go here in this stage.
Derek Jacobs getting ready to go another lap down, unfortunately, here, as hopefully he's able to hang on before Brian Johnson catches up to him.
But he's got to stay the course, though, Brian, because that's the only way you're going to get better.
100%. I mean, there's nothing you can – you got to put time in.
Yep, white flag's out for the stage.
Have to see how this caution is thrown. Of course, this is usually we have an automatic system that throws the caution automatically. So that's I think it's going to require someone to throw it. It looks like Brian Johnson does cross the start-finish line to complete lap 50. And we should have the caution coming out as Greg Wyszynski crosses the line. And he just did cross line. Caution is out. So that is going to complete stage number 1. Brian Johnson, your stage 1 winner. Brandon Ponsalak was second. Chris Johnson, third. Scott Naslin, fourth. Randy Mullins, fifth. Josh Schaffner, sixth. Shane Parrish, seventh. Eighth place, Kenny Powell. Ninth, Ryan Strunk. And 10th, Greg Wachinski. Those are our top 10 points paying positions. Of course, Brian Johnson getting the most points out of everybody there. He's going to have to hope he's able to really get off of pit road well here. This is going to be a big money stop here, starting stage number 2, which is going to be ending at 115 to 116. So a long way to go to the end of stage number 2. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We'll go ahead and talk to Brian Johnson when we return.
Your car is everything. Your taxi, your moving van, your baby. And for over 30 years, AutoZone has had the parts you can count on to keep it going. But parts are just part of what we do. We're part buddy, part mentor, part of the American way of doing things. So whether you're Mr. DIY or a master mechanic, AutoZone has your back. Parts are just part of what we do.
Get in the zone.
AutoZone.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, they just completed their yellow flag stops there. Brian Johnson able to win the race off of pit road. Let's go ahead and grab him up and talk to our stage 1 winner.
Hey, guys.
All right, we got him up here in the booth. Brian Johnson, great job on that stage 1 win. Very consistent. On the long run, you're able to pull away to over a second. What do you think, what are the keys to that? Do you think it was the clean air?
Yeah, a little bit clean air, but mostly tire save. Really, it's going to come down to who can save the most tires for the long run. I know Brandon and Chris, they both have a good car up under them, so really it's going to come down to saving tires.
100%. Now, how much work did you put in this week on the setup? It seemed like, I know you're one that likes to tinker.
Yeah, we put in a good bit of practice. You know, me, Brandon, and Chris, we all did a bunch of laps together. Same with Josh, you know, as a team. Put in a bunch of laps, did a lot of testing, and a lot of comparisons. So, yeah, we put in a pretty good amount of work this week.
Definitely sounds like it for sure. You know, how important are these stage points? It seems like, of course, sometimes they're more important than the actual win itself. Is that the priority tonight?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, anytime you can capitalize and get you some stage points for the championship is huge.
100%. Well, we definitely wish you the best of luck here at Richmond. I bet you're glad to be away from COTA, but still a difficult track you guys have in front of you here. We wish you the best of luck. Once again, congratulations on stage 1. Who could we give a shout-out to after your victory in stage 1?
Yeah, shout-out to Southern Spiral Pipe, the boys over at G&G. This was a team effort this week, and Kenny Powell for putting this league on, and you guys up in the booth.
All right. Well, thanks for your time, Brian, and good luck, and we'll see you later. I'm sure we'll talk to you hopefully a little bit later.
Thanks, guys.
That was Brian Johnson, our stage 1 winner. He is currently in the first spot, was able to win the race off pit road. Pace car lights are out as we get set for, I do believe, 109 laps here in stage number 2. Not 109 laps, I'm sorry. I do believe about 59 laps here.
Yeah, but it's still going to be the longest run thus far the evening. So it's going to start to showcase those guys whose cars are actually set up for just that, the long run. We're going to be led, though, by the same 2 gentlemen that have been leading us all evening. As like you said, lights are off on the pace car, but Brian Johnson, Brandon Pasalacqua, these 2 guys have been out front.
That they have, and of course, green flag is back out in the air. What a start there from Brian Johnson. Much better start than I'd say that first one. Brandon Pasalacqua able to drop down in right behind him. Scott Naslin is holding on to third at the moment, but he is getting ready to be under a lot of fire from Chris Johnson, who has been, looks like a very fast driver here so far. Also, some big movers on pit road, got a lot of spots. Was Kenny Powell up to 7th right now?
Yeah, not mad at Kenny Powell at all, man, after the evening he has had. But look at the 77 of Ryan Strunk. He is going to be pinching Greg Wachinski to the outside. Wachinski still trying to hold on and fight for what he believes is right. That high sign is still, the high side's still running pretty strong tonight, Brian.
Oh, more
But those
contact
two,
there.
yeah, they're not done. They're going to be banging doors here till the sun goes down. I can guarantee you that.
Getting ready to put some red paint on that black paint there.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's where that where the graphics on that car came from, rubbing with Greg there. Looks like, yeah, the top line's strong, but I think it's not going to be very friendly to your tires. As Greg Wachinski, I do believe, just relented. He's going to fall back into the 10th spot. I think he's just going to be cautious now.
Yeah, these guys are just all out here just trying to, like you said, they have to make a statement tonight. And what I mean when I say that is I don't mean a statement, but I mean this is an opportunity to gain points. Small field. So you got a 50-50 shot at coming out of here with something tonight. You want to be closer to the front end of this thing when this stage ends, but you still, like Chris said, Brian said, you want to save your tires.
Yeah, 100%. Don't want to drive it too hard for sure. The 54 definitely been trending on the loose side. Randy Mullins into the back of the 22. Big hit. Definitely didn't seem like it unsettled the race car of the 22, but definitely a big hit there. Here comes the 54 to the inside.
That was not a good game tap right there.
No, he definitely, I don't think he was doing it out of anger or anything like that, but he does make the pass. Look at that.
Oh, the 99 of Chris Johnson into the wall hard there. I'm telling you, he made contact with his damaged model. That is definitely going to affect the handling of that car. Not really necessarily about the aerodynamics, but that's definitely going to affect the handling.
Yeah, for sure. This is a short track, so handling not going to be a big deal. And he's going to come down onto the apron. I think he's going to come to a complete stop. And he takes a tow, so the damage must have been worse than I initially suspected. You see the right front. Let's take a look back at that and see if we can see how hard he hit. See if we can't get a good look at this. He's right here behind the 22. Oh, what? I think he just got a little bit loose there. The tires just, I think he hit the gas a little bit and it just shot up the racetrack.
Well,
that was a big hit.
It was enough for him to disconnect from the race. So, yeah, I hope he's okay, Brian.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I wonder how that happened. That was because, I mean, I guess maybe just got onto the gas a little too hard. Man, maybe we can find a way to dial him up and see what happened there.
Well, he disconnected from the race, and he is left to chat as well.
That's unfortunate to hear. So maybe he can give us a little bit of insight on why that happened.
Yeah, probably not the guy you want to talk to right now. That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I understand that for sure. Probably very frustrated as the 77 goes side by side with the 22. Ryan Strunk has been looking like an utter rocket ship here tonight.
But look here, the news story is look at Randy Mullins now. He is actually in the lead as he was bustling his way around Brian Johnson.
Yeah, he was able to actually pass on the inside. Randy Mullins has been another one that has been, looks like, on the rails at the moment, as he's got about a half a second back to Brian Johnson, still side by side for fourth place.
Yeah, that's Ryan Strunk and Scott Nashland. They're definitely still battling. Here comes Josh Schaffner. Just slowly sneaking his way into the top five.
Well, the more and more these guys battle side by side, the quicker I think the guys behind them are going to catch up to them. This is a track that is a lot like a one-groove racetrack. Very hard to race side by side here. You have to use a lot of the track, the whole track in a lot of ways. It's a track that you want to arc the corners and track up to the wall.
So what do you make of the 12 of Randy Mullins? Now, Darren being away, he's not going to be here this Thursday or Saturday. But here comes Randy. I mean, the son in the father's absence, man, he's out here toting the torch, and he's toting it high, Brian.
Well, Darren is in competition here tonight. He's back here in 12th place in the 17 machine.
Oh, well, I thought Pops was going to be gone here for a couple of days.
Well, I guess some things changed.
Yeah, I'm saying, you know, we had two brothers in this thing, but now we got a father and son. But Randy Mullins totally out of the G equation. But man, he's out here and he's kind of putting on a little seminar here.
He definitely is. He's got a very fast race car. We'll have to see how it handles on the longer run. As we do see Josh Schaffner side by side at the moment with Scott Naslin. He takes that spot and moves up into the top 5. Here comes Kenny Powell. I think he's going to be seeing if he can take advantage as well. A little contact with the back end of the 22. 72 laps down. This thing's flying right by as we get closer and closer to that halfway point. Of course, halfway point will be, I do believe, 125 laps into this race.
Yeah, after the stage 2 flag flies.
But I got to say, the thing's flying by. It's 70-something laps.
I'm not arguing with you. I think you're absolutely spot on there. That's probably the most correct thing you've said all night. I think it's actually flying by.
It really is. And these drivers definitely turning some really good laps. You could definitely tell that they prepared for this race. And I think when you come to a race like COTA last week and you come in there a little bit maybe not as prepared, you know, you're like, I'm not going to make that mistake again, and you show up to Richmond prepared. That's for sure.
It's a different type of drill, though. You know what I mean? Because COTA is like, that's preparing for a homecoming football game. You know, that's the biggest game of the season, COTA, because it's one of those tracks where, you know, it showcases the driver's talent, and you don't want to go out there and just total. And for the most part, Brian, our field stayed very tight and close together.
Except for Abner Acosta. He was gone.
He's a little different, though. I mean, that's his forte. That's what he does.
That's right. You're right. If you can call anybody a ringer, that would be him. And I do believe he is actually participating in Road to Pro tonight as well, so would wish him the best of luck and wish everybody else that's not here because of that also the best of luck as we watching Shane Parrish. He's starting to put some pressure here on the 22 of Scott Naslin.
Yeah, I think it's just a different kind of preparation for this short track here. I think you got to turn a lot of laps here because it's the mental endurance that you're trying to get in and that muscle memory that you're trying to grain into yourself, because that's going to be the key to saving tires.
Yeah, and then just racing the track as well and not racing the other drivers quite as hard. I know a lot of drivers have been complaining all week about this, this new tire model at this track. It seems like the front tires are wearing a lot more than the rears, and that's causing the car to get really, really tight on the. This is not a track you want to get tight at all. As we see Kenny Powell now trying to get underneath the 22, not quite able to get there. I think Scott Naslin might have made maybe an adjustment in the car, not handling as well as it was in the first stage.
But they still got to get by the 6'6" of Shane Parrish as well, because I think these guys have kind of found their niche, if you will, and they're not really kind of competing, but I think they're just kind of making it to the end of the stage until it's time to actually compete. But Kenny Powell is trying to advance his position, so you got two different things going on here.
100%. Right now, we only have...
I spoke too soon. Here comes the 66 on the inside of the 50th Schaffner. Shane Parrish now can try to get up into the top 5.
Yeah, I think he's going to do it. He got a little bit loose off the corner there, out of turn 2, but looks like he was able to keep that thing pointed in the right direction. Really fast race car. He's gripping the track very well.
Yeah, he threw a little bit of a late block there to Schaffner, but it's all well. But
all
the 12,
well and good.
12 still running out there in front. Randy Mullins doing what needs to be done, getting the job done here tonight. Only the second leader that we've had here.
Well, looking at lap times, though, I'm a little worried about Randy here. 23.146 last time by versus Brian Johnson's 22.984. That's a 0.2 difference right there in laps, and that can add up quick. So Brian Johnson might be able to catch back up here. And he did say in his interview that, hey, saving tires is really, really important. And I think that he was like, I'm willing to let Randy go in order to save tire.
And we talk about that too, because once you're out front, you really got to pace yourself. You don't have anybody else to pace yourself, and you can't spend time looking in your relative. You got to really focus on what's going on ahead of the car.
The one to watch, though, the one that has been moving quite quickly at the moment, fastest on the track, has been Shane Parrish at the moment as he catches up to the back end of the 77. course, Ryan Strunk looking a little bit like he's having a little bit of some handling conditions right now, a little bit loose off these corners at the moment.
I think that's that tire wear that you were talking about, that you were threatening us with such a good time, because you called it. You were like, hey, the tire wear is going to be something where drivers might even contemplate coming down just for tires only. That's not something we really get to see a lot of, especially in this day and age in the ISCA. So the fact that the tire model is as such that the short track that's going to wear them out, that drivers will really contemplate coming down for tires only, that's awesome to me.
Yeah, and it could be. It also adds another layer of strategy, especially in stage number 3. I don't think anybody's going to be risking it here in stage 2, but I think in stage 3, even though I think the 128 lamp fuel window that you have there, it could be possible to maybe stretch it to the end on fuel, but you don't want to. You're going to be so slow by the end of that run that you're probably going to be multiple laps down. I mean, because the thing is like I've seen it in the opens, in the officials, to where guys will pit and other guys will be on different strategies and stay out, and they will get passed by the guys that pitted. So, I mean, and you get passed like you're standing still. I mean, so it could be a big factor for sure. We do have only 16 drivers on the lead lap. Al Kozlowski slow on the bottom, now has gone a lap down, so now only 15 drivers on the lead lap. So Al Kozlowski is going to be taking a green flag stop. And he was another one that did not seem very confident in his race car here tonight.
Yeah, that's very uncharacteristic of him, though. I mean, this racetrack, they can't save tires. You go ahead and put that 48 right there on number 1 of that category.
Yeah, he's one that definitely likes to drive the car hard.
It looks like he's taking 4 tires, so looks like he knows what he needs.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a worthwhile gamble. Of course, these guys are plus 30 laps on the tires.
Get it foul! Loose and into the wall. Don't know if that's going to bring out a caution, but that's definitely going to impact his evening, Brian. You're definitely going to want to get a replay of that one.
Take a look back here at Kenny Powell as he was chasing down the 22 of Scott Naslin. Looks like he just got... Oh, I think he was trying to avoid the 22 there. Oh, big hit on the wall.
Yeah, that's the name of your next rock album.
You saw. I think Kenny was just trying to avoid the 22 because the 22 had a similar problem there.
Well, that's just telling you, because you saw the 48. He actually took himself down pit road, probably out of the competition. But I think you're at that point now where the tires are just kind of getting worn and the drivers have just got their hands full. And I think that's what you're starting to see take place, that tight condition.
Wanted to see if we could see the right front here. You can see a little bit of it. It definitely is crinkled in. Should be okay, though. I'm wondering how the suspension is. I'm sure that had definitely affected his toe.
No, it shouldn't have affected his toes. They're all the way on the other side of the car. Comedy Club, chuckle, y'all.
But here we go. I kind of talked about it before. Randy Mullins is now being ran down by Brian Johnson as they have about 3/10 separating them now. Johnson getting closer and closer to the back bumper. So I think that Randy Mullins might have learned a particularly good lesson right now to not try to drive it too hard. You got to save them tires. No matter what setup you bring to the race here tonight, it seems like that's the case.
Yeah, I think it's too late. I mean, right now the wolf is in the hen house. I say again, the wolf's in the hen house. He has got Brian Johnson all over his keister, and I don't think he caught him because only other reasons that he is faster than he is, especially at this point in the race. So right now, I think it's going to be interesting to see just how far back the 54 falls.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a curious thing. I think it's very difficult to pass here. So even though Brian Johnson has caught him, it could be a little bit more difficult than we suspect to actually make the pass. Richmond notorious for being difficult to pass people.
Yeah, I just hope that the patience prevails. That's all I can say about that because, I mean, these guys are still a little bit ways out before we actually get to start squabbling here for stage points. That stage is going to end at 115. Currently, we're at 96, so we still got a ways to go before I think it's quote-unquote go time. But however, it is definitely time to kind of rattle somebody's cage and let them know what your intentions are, if you will.
Here comes Brian Johnson. He's going to try to go to the high side here. Of course, the 54 not giving him that lane.
Crossover. Nice crossover there by Brian, now on the inside.
I think that was the whole game. I think he made the 54 kind of block his lane. He was like, okay, you want to go to the top? I'm going to try to take that lane away from you. And then Brian was like, well, you fell right into my trap. Then right to the bottom.
And, and then there it is. And now not only do you have, you got the Shark, but you got the Shark's brother, the two guys who have been talking about exactly how much time they spent together on this track this week. So that just doesn't equal a good recipe or ending for Randy Mullins at that point. I don't know if he was watching the broadcast, but when he watches it back, he's definitely going to say, man, there's nothing I could have did on that. It was literally the 1-2.
Yeah, definitely. The knockout punch. Luckily, he just fell back to third place, but he could definitely fall into the clutches of possibly Shane Parrish.
Yeah, because he was out front, Brian, and that's the thing that you got to be very cognizant about. Now, I think that Parrish is still kind of a ways back, but if you remember, he started moving faster further along in that last stage, so it seemed like his car is definitely set up for the long run.
Yeah, I think that fastest still on the track right now, though, is Brian Johnson. Shane Parrish, I do believe, was around the second quickest on the track, but Randy Mullins, looking at his lap times, 23.8. That is one of the slowest laps in the top 10, if not the slowest lap in the top 10 at the moment.
Yeah, he's probably going to be slip-sliding the wrong way at this point. And it just goes back to echo what Brian Johnson said once more, is about saving tires. And we've seen a lot of drivers smack the wall, smack their hands, and actually not have a good time just because cars getting tight. Now, still got a little ways to go in this stage here before we can actually say it's go time. But here comes Josh Schaffner. He's now battling on the inside of the 7-7 of Ryan Strunk. These guys battling for what is fifth position, Brian. So seeing a lot of movement here in the field.
Yeah, for sure. And as we all know, the 50 of Josh Schaffner considered to be a master at saving tires as he slides right in front of the 77. Look at Greg Wyszynski. He's been a really big factor right now as he sits in 8th, right in this battle as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Now, you also look at the 24 Kenny Powell. He has fallen way, way back there in the back of the field, but he is still hanging on for that 10th place, which will give him a stage point. Going to have to make that last for another 11 laps or so in order to get it to the bank, though. But here comes Ryan Strunk on the inside of the 50. Josh Schaffner. Schaffner is a drag race off the line. Strunk pedaling that thing, looks like just a little bit as they go right on into the turn. Battle continues. Schaffner on the high side, still trying to make it stick. These guys aren't just racing side by side, Brian. They are literally racing for position.
Yeah, they are definitely racing very hard as Ryan Strunk slides up in front of the 50. He gets tight up into the wall. And he is going to lose a couple spots there. Luckily, it was not a huge hit for Strunk. But you could tell he was fighting too hard for that spot and just drove it in a little too deep, missed the corner, and slid up.
Yeah, at that point, he was just along for the ride. Not much he could do except for just try to minimize the damage from the contact. Did a pretty good job. Pedaled it enough that he's still in contention now, right now, still being shown in 8th place, Mike.
Well, with this new tire model, we talked about it before, that, if you slide the tires like that, you're going to feel that for a while. It's going to be difficult to maintain. But it looks like he is going to maintain right now that 8th place spot. Kenny Powell did just make it up into 9th, got by J.C. Evans, so I don't think the fight is out of the 24 just yet.
Yeah, that's awesome news, and we still be watching. His lap times are still within the realm of the top 5, so Kenny Powell still showing tremendous pace, so it doesn't appear that he had any long-term systemic damage, so I think he'll be able to get most of that beat out here during the stage caution, which, by the way, Brian, that's coming up in just about 7 laps.
And look at the fall-off. Already a second of fall-off for a lot of these drivers and more. As we see Brian Johnson still in the lead. Has Brandon Passalacqua right behind him. Passalacqua last time by was a little bit faster than Brian Johnson. But looking back at Ryan Strunk, he's just turned, I do believe, The slowest lap on the track, 24.278 versus everybody else. He's a half a second slower at the moment. So I think that those tires, he heated them up. I think that's exactly why he's turning these slower laps.
And you know what else is heating up? The battle for 7th place, for 6th place between Greg Wachinski and Scott National. Now, yeah, like you said, the hardest thing in the world is to get the heat out of the tires, right? It's easy heating them up, but man, especially when you're in a battle for position like this, and now, 5 laps to go here in the stage, this isn't the time to be slowing down. This is time to be hammering down.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely want to be a little easier in the first of the run. First 5 to 10 laps are so important on these tires. So, and then that way you have the resources left later when it comes to the end of the stage to really be able to put that hammer down. That's Greg Wachinski trying to see if he can't get 6th spot away from Naslin. He's running out of time. I do believe 4 laps to go here in the stage.
And if you just watch his car, man, these guys have to have the precision of a surgeon, because it could really get squirrely here. It doesn't take much, man, to find yourself in a bad way. So watching Wachinski trying to keep that thing as steady as possible and not only gain but maintain and increase the momentum on the 22, because you look, the tires are spent at this point, right? These guys have been, because they're not driving for the long haul, they're driving for 115 laps, which is coming up here in about 3 laps. So he's trying to almost accomplish the impossible, Brian.
Yeah, and the impossible is trying to pass at the moment. When you have these tires burn up like they are right now, it's impossible to pass. I think Wachinski is faster than Naslin. You can clearly see that. But it's one thing to catch him, another thing completely to pass. I mean, this is a track that you could be faster than someone all day, but if you don't know what you're doing and you try to race that driver more, you're going to end up making a mistake. This is a track you definitely want to try to race the track. You don't want to race the other drivers around you.
Ooh, yeah, because we always had that. It's one thing to catch him, something totally different to pass. This stage here going to be in the books here on this lap. White flag is out.
J.C. Evans is going to be the driver that crosses the line in 10th. That should bring out the caution.
Kudos to Randy Mullins, though, only falling back to 3rd. So he's definitely got to feel pretty good about that run.
Yeah, I think so. I think he just kind of realized his error and kind of cooled his tires back down and has been maintaining 3rd, doing pretty well right now. Valuable lesson I think he just learned as we wait for that caution flag to fly. And there it is. Ryan Johnson wins Stage 1 and Stage 2. At the moment has max points on the night. Brandon Pasalacqua finishes in 2nd. Randy Mullins in 3rd. Shane Parrish is in 4th. Josh Schaffner 5th. Scott Naslin able to hold on to 6th after encroaching Greg Wachinski tries to battle with him, who finishes in 7th. Ryan Strunk 8th. Kenny Powell in 9th. And J.C. Evans rounds out our top 10. Those are going to be the points-paying positions. But definitely a max point type of night for Brian Johnson. This is exactly what he needs in order to really shoot himself up the rankings when it comes to the Super Cup standing. But with that, we'll go ahead and take a quick step away. We'll be right back with whoever Big Al wants to talk to.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms. From camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tough, bro. We get a hug, right? What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe Big Al is going to be standing by with our 3rd place finisher in the stage and did lead some laps, Randy Mullins.
Randy Mullins, Big Al up in the booth. You got me.
Yes, sir. I got you.
Man, congratulations to you for being able to actually bring it home on the podium there. That was a heck of a run for you.
Yeah, car was with me majority of that run. It just got a little free at the end, but I didn't conserve anything. I went all out just so I know what I would have the remaining of the race.
Now, with that, I think you just said that you did learn a lot. You care to share?
I'll be a little bit more conservative right here at the start of this next stage, and I've made a few adjustments to hopefully keep the car under me to take this thing on out. I don't know if I got anything for the 4 car, but I think I definitely can finish second or third.
So, what is your ratio here as far as importance, fuel or tires?
Tires for sure, but I'm going to have to fill it up because if you don't, you're going to change the balance, and it makes it really, really snug if you don't top it off of fuel. So I'm going to top it off and throw 4 new shoes on it. And we'll see what happens.
Definitely looks like you got a rocket there underneath you tonight, man, and it's good for us to see you down there giving her hell. But before we let you go here, this mid-race shout-out, who you going to give it up to?
Obviously, I want to shout out to you guys up in the booth for the broadcast. You guys do a hellacious job week in, week out. My teammates, and then obviously Kenny for putting on the league, and then all the league sponsors.
All right, Roger there, Tiger. Go get him, man. Good luck to you, and hopefully we'll talk to you at the end of this thing.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
That was Randy Mullins, third place finisher, has led 30 laps here on the night. Definitely a fantastic performance so far from him. Glad he's learning some lessons. Definitely going to need to apply those lessons in this final stage here. Is Brian Johnson's going to lead us there. Of course, there will be, I do believe, a pit stop. I don't think these guys will necessarily have to pit for fuel, but definitely still going to be probably a pit stop nonetheless as the green flag is back out. Brian Johnson with a hellacious restart. I'm telling you, I'm going to start using that a lot. Josh Schaffner, though, sits in fourth right now. He's going to be seeing if he can't get up here and duke it out with the 54, or should I say the 12. We do see the 22 of Scott Naslin has worked his way back up into the top 5. Of course, Shane Parrish also has been a fixture in the top 10 thus far. We do see Ryan Strunk, of course, he's been very fast on the mid-run. Have to see, and short run, of course. So I have to see how he, if he does learn any lessons as well when it comes to that long run speed as we come closer and closer to the halfway point. 123 laps in, or 124 now. But Brian Johnson so far has been the dominating car thus far. Even Randy Mullins said that I don't know if I have anything for that 4 car. Of course, he said us he was going to be conservative in this stage. I don't know if that's really the name of the game right now for him, considering he has just gotten by Brandon Pasalacqua. And that's just something a lot of drivers say. Like, yeah, I'm going to be really conservative in this final stage. But once you get out there and you start mashing that gas pedal, it's hard for a racer to go slow. I'll tell you that.
Well, he's got to keep consistent pressure on Brian. You know, he's got to keep him honest, if you will. And another thing, like you said, look, you don't get another shot as we're halfway through this thing, but the green flag is going to stay out unless caution comes out. So he can't just fall all the way to the rear of this thing. He's got to keep his nose to the grindstone.
Kenny Powell is now 3 laps down. What in the heck has happened to Kenny Powell? Was up in the top 10 just a few moments ago. Now finds himself 3 laps down. My word. I'm wondering what happened here. Maybe getting some extensive repairs done to that machine. And we talk Randy Mullins. You talk about keeping Brian Johnson honest. He's now back up into the lead. So, I don't know. I find it funny that Randy Mullins says, yeah, I'm going to be real conservative here. And then he's like, nope, I'm going to go right to the lead, and I'm going to take off again. Now, Randy Mullins, of course, going to add to the lap totals that he has led so far here tonight. Scott Naslin has also made his way up into third, got my Brandon Pasalacqua. And I think Brian Johnson, this is a part of his MO here. He's like, go ahead and go. I mean, you did this in stage number 2. I'm going to catch you. I'm going to get you back. Don't you worry.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But this is going to be the long haul. So drivers right now they're racing the track. They're now developing their strategies. Doesn't seem like they're going to get the benefit of seeing a caution flag. So everybody's going to have to do what they got to do to keep this thing rolling.
Yeah, you see the 14 also, J.C. Evans has made his way up into 7th place right now. He's battling with Shane Parrish. Of course, Kenny Powell, talk about not going to get the benefit of the caution flag. He is probably in desperation mode, needing a caution at the moment. Only 13 drivers right now remain on the lead lap. We started out with 19, so even though we haven't had any cautions based on wrecks, there still has been quite a bit of attrition on the racetrack. Randy Mullins now out to 0.7 of a second lead on Brian Johnson. I'm hoping that Randy made some adjustments to that race car because, I hate to come back to this, but it's just crazy that he says in the interview, yeah, I'm going to take it easy and be conservative. This does not look like conserving.
But I think he understood exactly how hard he can push that thing before he's actually going to bring it down and pit it in order to push it that hard again to get it to the end of the race. I don't see him letting up. It's not in his nature. But I mean, when he was saying that, I was sitting there like, yeah, right, yeah. 'Cause we've heard him say the same thing before. It's like, hey, Dad, will you coming to get me Saturday? Yeah, I'll be there about noon. But right.
Yeah, that's for sure. I just think it's a lot of drivers like to say that, but when you're in the moment and the adrenaline is starting to run through you, it's very difficult to stick with that. I mean, I can say I'm guilty of it as well. I mean, whenever I get out there and race, I'm going to be real easy here, but then the car starts handling real good, and I'm like, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, we come here to race, get the people a show. The 12 knows that better than anybody, and he's going to give her hell. And I think that's the reason why we like seeing him out front, because he is mixing it up a little bit. And also, look at Scott Naslin. He's up there in the mix as well. So we had a lot of racing left, just over halfway in this thing, 115 laps to go, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, things been flying by very quickly, that's for sure. And you talk about Naslin. He was another driver that has a really good short run pace, but seemed like long run, car does not seem to agree with him. We'll have to wait and see and keep an eye on him if he's maybe made some adjustments to that ride. I mean, he definitely looks fast right now. Top 3 easily at the moment. He's faster than both Randy Mullins and Brian Johnson. And what's interesting about this, Randy Mullins last time by was about a 10th slower than Brian Johnson. So maybe that is him trying to save. He got out front. Now it's time to kind of cool him down and just hang out. But what a race we've had thus far here tonight for the AutoZone 250. 250 laps these guys have had to tackle, and they're definitely getting a good chunk of it done. And that's one thing I love about the ISCA. These guys always have very clean and green races. We asked the question in the beginning of the race, would these guys have cautions for wrecks and things of that nature? We're short track racing. You expect that, but not in the ISCA. These guys always race with a ton of respect for each other.
Always the cleanest production, man, ever. So always a privilege to do these races as well, because you're going to get good, top-notch quality racing. And I think that's why so many drivers aspire to get to leagues like the ISCA.
Yeah, 100%. If you are interested and see what these guys are able to do, you love the respect that you see out here on this racetrack, then definitely reach out to Kenny Powell. You can look him up on iRacing, or even look up the iRacing Stock Car Association on Facebook, message to Facebook, or even look up the iRacing Stock Car Association in the league directory, and definitely drop yourself a application. We'd love to see you out here and maybe say your name a few times out on the racetrack.
They're on the Book of Faces?
Yes, they are. Do see Brian Johnson starting to catch up there to Randy Mullins. Of course, Scott Naslin right there in the tire tracks. And we know Brian Johnson, he's probably not going to let Scott Naslin push him faster than he wants to go. I think that's one thing that is going to be key around this racetrack. You got to run your own pace. You got to run your own race. You can't let someone else peer pressure you into going faster than your car is built for.
I mean, yeah, I hear you. But at the same token, you can't hold up traffic.
Well, yeah, I mean, can't hold up traffic, but, you know, it's a fine line, and that's what the best drivers are able to do, is that hold that fine line. You know, to be able to be on the, you know, on the edge of saving and on the edge of fast at the same time.
Yeah, we're all trying to get to the same place, so to speak. It was just trying to get there. Well, not preferably at the same time. Preferably, I'll be in front of you when we get there. But
27 laps into this run right now. So a lot of drivers are going to start to feel the effects of the tire wear, as we're probably going to have the longest run here of the night.
And you get lulled into, though, Brian. You kind of get sucked into it at this point in the race because everybody's running so fast. And you just kind of get caught up in the moment saying, man, look at my fast car go fast too. And then you just realize, oh man, I'm burning my tires up here. So that might not be my strategy. And we've seen other drivers even drag drivers a little bit faster than they needed to go out of their comfort zone and make them wear their tires out prematurely.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I think Scott Naslin's doing right now, to try to see if he can't push Brian Johnson to go a little faster than maybe he wants to go. And maybe even the same thing could be said for Brian Johnson and Randy Mullen, because they have quite a bit of gap on Brandon Pasalacqua there in fourth place, over a second at the moment. So we are starting to see some gaps forming here. But I think Pasalacqua is another driver that is very good at saving tire. I think that he's going to be one that I don't think he's letting these guys dictate his pace at the moment. And so here comes Brian Johnson to try to take the lead. He's on the inside. I think Randy Mullen's just going to let him have it here.
And, you know, I think Randy is doing the right thing because, you know, he knows that he's got a fast car, but he knows it's not yet time to be fast. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. But then again, I mean, he was trying to be really fast in the beginning of the run. And we talk about that's the most important time to conserve, is the beginning of the run, the first 5 to 10 laps. I mean, that is indicative of how the rest of your run is going to go. So I think if he was going to, you know, pick a time to be fast, it should be probably a little bit more like now instead of earlier.
Well, now your car dictates that you're going to slow down anyway. It's kind of like me when I hit 40, you know?
No, I get you. I'm just saying that, you know, you have to make a willing decision to not drive it hard in the beginning. And I think that he did that. He drove it a little too hard, as he's now going to be getting caught by Pasalacqua. Something might be going wrong here with Mullins' car. It looks like he has lost a good bit of pace right now. Car not handling well. This is odd. He has now fallen all the way back into fourth. Maybe overheating him. I don't know. He didn't seem like he was doing anything too crazy.
No,
maybe this is an effort to hey, you know, I'm going to cool my tires, go back here, just hang out in this gap.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's doing. I think he drove it as far and hard as fast as he wanted to, and now he's just going to chill.
Yeah, definitely could be the case. He's going to probably just try to see if he can't stay right here with Brandon Pasalacqua. Of course, do a quick rundown through the top 10. Brian Johnson up in the lead once again. Scott Naslin sitting in second place. Brandon Pasalacqua was in third. Of course, fourth place, Randy Mullins. Fifth place, John Schaffner. Ryan Strunk's in sixth. Shane Parrish is in seventh. J.C. Evans is in eighth. Greg Wychinski is ninth. And Jose Acosta rounds out that top 10. Of course, quite a bit of gaps in between all those drivers. Of course, Mark Sanchez not too far off the back end of, I do believe, Jose Acosta. Also, Greg Carr, he's in 12th right now, not that far back from these guys as well. This has been a race, I think, of attrition that you want to just at least survive and stay on the lead lap, because you've already seen 14th on back are multiple laps down. Some drivers are even out of the race cars. 155 laps, though, in the books. Less than 100 to go. 95 this time. See Shane Parrish pretty close to the back end of Ryan Strunk. That will be the battle for 6th place. As the battle does continue here for this 6th spot, Ryan Strunk definitely trying to do everything he can to keep the 66 at bay. Of course, Ryan Strunk definitely one of those drivers that's always guilty of burning the tires up a little bit more. And this is definitely, because of this whole new tire model, I tell you, the way you have to drive this track has changed significantly. As here comes, I do believe Josh Schaffner just got by Randy Mullins there. Moves his way up into the 4th place position. Looking at lap times, Josh Schaffner, fastest on the racetrack last time by. Of course, we know him. I mean, he's that driver that might not be one that shows up a lot in the stages, but he's going to be that driver that shows up later in that long run. Kenny Powell, of course, still out there. He is not for position right now. He's about 3 laps down.
Yeah, what do you think actually happened to Kenny Powell?
Oh, I have no clue. I'd love to know. I'm sure we'll get the chance to talk to him a little bit later in the day. But I'm not sure. I mean, maybe if we do get a unscheduled caution, Mike could ask him. I mean, I'd love to get to the bottom of that.
Yeah, Big Al's having woes of his own. As I'm only screen I have is yours, so.
That is definitely unfortunate. Here comes Ryan Strunk, though, trying to catch up to the back here of the 54. Here comes to the inside. So, yeah, I think Randy Mullins is having more issues. I don't know if this is on purpose. We kind of thought and were, conspirizing that maybe he was, just trying to save tire, but I don't think that's what's happening here. He's fallen more back than he did in stage 2. I mean, he got up to the lead in stage 2, fell back only to 3rd. He's fallen back all the way to now 7th. So
Could you say that was conspirizing? Is that the word that we're using? Conspirizing?
Oh, I mean, I guess that's probably the wrong word.
No, I love it, though, man. I don't know. No, I think we should go with it.
Or trying to, jump to conclusions, I guess.
No, I like it. You think I'm picking, but I mean, I'm on your internet here.
What an interesting race we've had for this 250 lap race here at Richmond. I'm definitely excited to see who's going to come out on top. I mean, anything can still happen. Still a lot of laps left to go. Still a lot of racing left to go. Of course, Shane Parrish looks like he's still battling with Ryan Strunk at the moment. And this is a short track. I mean, these guys, as they continue to go, they're going to be sitting behind a driver for a little bit too long in their opinions, which will cause some of these drivers to maybe get a little bit hot under the collar and maybe use that bumper. Long race, 250 laps is quite the marathon.
Yeah, and the bumper's been around for a minute, so it's not like it'd be the first time that anybody's ever felt it or used it. I mean, I think it's one of the most effective tools here on the short track.
It very much is, especially with these next-gen cars. I mean, they're very tough. You can definitely hit with these cars and not really affect yourself at all. Now, if you hit the wall, it's a little bit different story, but if you hit another driver, it might not be too bad of a deal.
Yeah, and some drivers don't want to give. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, racing is one of those sports where it's still a contact sport, in my opinion. And so I fully expect there to be contact, especially the later runs of this event here tonight.
Yeah, 100%. as we are starting to see lap traffic possibly going to be coming into play as well. I do believe Alexander Carr definitely starting to come into the picture. Lap traffic definitely a tough challenge at a track like this, as we are over 50 laps into this run now. I do believe in a couple laps will be 70 laps to go, which means I'd say in the next 15 or so we could see some green flag stops. And here goes. It looks like someone is coming down pit road. That is Alexander Carr. Now going to go a lap down. I think he saw Brian Johnson catching him. He's like, I don't want to be in the mix with that. Mark Sanchez, haven't talked a whole lot about him tonight. He's been looking pretty good here. Sits in that 9th spot at the moment, as he's trying to catch up there to J.C. Evans, see if he can get one spot better.
Yep, the 12 of Randy Mullins also down on pit road. But hey, kids, though, the best advice Big Gal could give you is you don't want to grow up to be lap traffic.
That's right. Of course, we see Randy Mullins definitely taking a set of tires. The 9, that is Alexander Carr coming off of pit road. So looks like green flag pit stops are kicking off at the moment. I don't think the rest of the field's going to come down. Maybe I say in the next, like I said, 10 or 15 laps.
Hey, they got choices. That's what I love about this is we still got 79 laps to go in this thing. So guys got plenty of time to let their strategies play out. And some of these guys, they're going to want to have a shorter run. They're going to want it to be more manageable. Something they saw there maybe in the first or second stage. That's what's going to be desirable. Somewhere around 50 laps, Brian, because that way they can kind of push it a little bit faster and harder than they want to.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe even have a little bit of a two-stop strategy instead of just the one, too. I mean, maybe that's what Randy Mullins is maybe going for. Go ahead and come down pit road, get the fresh tires, drive it really hard, and then come back down again and then take tires again. Could be the strategy. I mean, I've seen something similar in the A Opens.
Yeah, I guarantee you there's a lot of strategies out there right now.
I'll tell you what, I'm very impressed with Scott Naslin right now. We saw him in stage 2, and he looked like he was struggling. Like, he just did not look like he had that car in the right, status or state at that moment. But I think he might have made some adjustments to it, or maybe even the conditions have caught up with his race car, and it seems like it's handling well. I mean, he's been holding second for quite a while, and he's been looking quick. I mean, he hasn't let Brian Johnson really get away from him.
Not yet, but he wants to.
Also, Josh Schaffner, he's been looking really good right now. He is catching up quickly to the rear end of Brandon Pasalacqua. Of course, Pasalacqua right now the points leader here in the Super Cup season.
I think you were on to something there when you talked about Randy. I think Randy did go out there and kind of overachieve a little bit and bent his own strategy into a two-stop scenario. Because he's back out there. Well, he's back out there now doing the same thing that he did when the green flag waved. It's almost like he can't help himself.
Yeah, but look at the lap time difference. So it could be worthwhile. I mean, he's hitting a 22.3 right now. Those are qualifying laps right now.
We still got 74 laps to go.
But what if he comes down again? I'm just saying with those lap times he's turning, he might make up that time. We'll have to wait. I mean, like I said, I've seen it work in the official race. So
yeah, maybe that was his strategy all along, and that does give us something to talk about, I mean,
he could have, like you said, forced himself into that strategy in a way. I mean, lap time wise, though, I mean, he's like 2 seconds faster than most of the drivers out there right now. And if you spend, most of the time at most tracks we go to, you spend about 40 seconds from one end of pit road to the other, right? Well, if you're going 2 seconds of a lap faster than everybody, you might be able to make that time back up, I mean, I've seen that work at tracks like Darlington that have really, really high tire wear, but I think a lot more tracks are becoming to where that is a possibility with this new tire model. And even in real life, the tire model, the tire test at North Wilkesboro, they were falling off 3 seconds. So I think that this is more indicative of what real life looks like for these tires. Look at that. Josh Schaffner has caught up to the back here of Brandon Pasalacqua. He's going to be seeing if he can't get that third spot away. Here he goes right to the inside. Josh Schaffner makes it look easy. And Schaffner's trending in the right direction right now. He's faster than almost everybody out there except Randy Mullins, who's on the fresh tires.
Brandon Pasalacqua as well as Greg Wachinski, both down pit road right now. That's going to be 69 laps to go. So we'll definitely get an idea what their strategy looks like.
Yeah, 64 laps into this stint, so they're doing a little bit of a short pit. Just a little short pit, though, not much of a short pit. Wouldn't be surprised to see Brian Johnson probably try to split it in half. Probably going to go maybe 3 or 4 more laps here.
Plenty of business down pit road right now.
Yep, Josh Schaffner down, Greg Wachinski. Do believe J.C. Evans.
Yep, the 66 of
Shane Parrish.
Shane Parrish. Yeah, the numbers flipped me out a little bit.
Also, Brian Johnson has just come down pit road, so Ryan Strunk now the leader.
And the 11 also coming down pit road. That's going to be Greg Carr. Here comes Greg Wachinski again. Not sure.
I heard the 11. I was like, Don Avery's here? Where's he at?
yeah, I know, right? Welcome to my world tonight.
Kenny Powell, of course, 3 laps down, comes down pit road. Just a heartbreaker for him. I still am just wondering what happened.
Yeah, sometimes you're the windshield, Brian. Sometimes you're the bug. And I think tonight, Kenny came out there swinging, but
I think he's been the bug. He's definitely been the bug tonight. I mean, and not even just in the iRacing sim. I think he's just been catching it all day, it seems like.
Yeah, he came out there swinging, but unfortunately it was from a tree. Just
What?
not a good. I said he came out swinging, but unfortunately it was from a tree.
Dang.
Yeah,
I apologize for Big Al, everybody. I don't know what he's talking about. Talk about hanging people over here. What are you talking about?
No, I'm just saying that, man, Kenny has just had quite the evening, quite the day.
He definitely has, and bad day gone to worse, that's for sure. Scott Naslin, though, I think when all is said and done, I think we'll be in the lead. I don't know, Randy Mullins. Of course, Jose Acosta has yet to pit. He is the leader right now, but Randy Mullins will get some more laps led, I do believe. Because he is about 8 seconds out in front of Scott Naslin right now. Naslin, of course, did short pit Brian Johnson. Now, I think this is a good call for Naslin. He showed the pace to be able to stick right in front or stick right behind Brian Johnson. Now that he's going to have a little bit more clean air, this could work out well for him.
The 82 down pit road right now. That's going to be Jose Acosta. He was all the way up to second place, Brian.
Yeah, he definitely has had a little bit of a up and down night, Jose Acosta.
Yeah, it really throws me for a loop seeing Jose in the 82, by the way.
Yeah, it definitely throws me as well. Used to seeing him in that 42 machine, but, you know, of course, because this is a little bit of a different night tonight with us having to put up a hosted session instead of our usual league session. Looking at lap times right now, Randy Mullins is about a half a second, about 4/10 slower than Scott Naslin at the moment. So this is the seesaw kind of in effect here with Randy Mullins going down pit road so early. Only about 6.8 seconds separate those two drivers. Brian Johnson not that far back from the 22 as well. Brandon Pasalacqua also not far back at all. So still a lot of wiggle room, still a lot that could go wrong or right. You know, as we only have now 8 drivers on the lead lap. J.C. Evans going to find himself probably going a lap down sooner rather than later. As you see Randy Mullins starting to catch up to him. Mark Sanchez in that pit stop sequence did find himself going a lap down, but he's actually going to be catching up possibly to Randy Mullins and take that lap back, as he's been running some really good laps last couple times by.
Hey, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Who's the 25 car?
Well, are you talking about in the league?
Yeah, I'm seeing the 25 car. I don't.
That is actually Greg Carr. Of course, I do believe right now he is in the 11, though. But, yeah, a lot of these guys do have custom numbers on their machines, so definitely can be a little bit of a point of confusion. I'm wondering, Greg Wyszynski has also gone 3 laps down. We saw him pit pretty much on schedule with a lot of these other drivers. I think he might have got a penalty.
Yeah, I did believe he did, Brian, because once he pitted, he came right back down pit road again. And I think that had a lot to do with what was going on in his life tonight.
Unfortunate. I mean, one thing to get a penalty, a speeding penalty during a caution. But when you get a speeding penalty under green flag, that's a 40-second hold. And you got to come back down pit road, so you're losing a lot of time. And could that be what happened possibly even to Kenny Powell? Maybe something, a penalty or something like that for him as well, maybe?
Yeah, I'm not sure about what happened to Powell. I know he did come off a pit road late after the last stage break. But after that, I was not tracking what was going on with his position.
Scott Naslin, though, quickly catching up to the back here of Randy Mullins. Only about 3 seconds separate those two drivers. Brian Johnson definitely seeing if he can catch up. He has led a lot of the laps here so far tonight. Unfortunately, not leading these laps, though. Have to see if he's going to be able to get back up there into the mix. As Mark Sanchez, of course, has gotten his lap back and is makes the 9th driver on the lead lap.
Yeah, and right now I think everybody's going to be feeling pretty good because 52 laps to go in this thing, you know, that's a manageable scenario for all of the drivers in this contest. No matter how many laps they got on their equipment right now, they know what 52 laps is and how that's going to feel. So with that information, you know, if you're going to have to pit again, it's going to probably be best to go ahead and get that done now than wait until later, because the later you wait at this point in the juncture, I don't think it's going to be beneficial to you. I think it'll be almost, you know, contradictory.
I think the driver that could go down pit road in the next 10 laps, maybe to try to split the run in half, would be Randy Mullins. I think he'd be one that it could pay off for him. If Scott Naslin catches up to him, I think that I'd go down pit road. Maybe, or like you said, maybe even go ahead and go down now, get a fresh set of tires. Like you said, these guys know what 50 laps look like.
Well, he's already got 31 laps on this run, which is longest to everybody out there with the exception of Alexander Carr.
And there goes Greg Wyszynski, able to take one of his laps back. He's going to be now only 2 laps down. Do have some battling back here. Of course, not for position, though. Brandon Passalacqua going to be passing by, I do believe, the 9 of Alexander Carr. Also, Jose Acosta trying to see if he can't work his way back forward to maybe get his lap back.
That's
he
exactly
was one of the last people. He was one of the last people to pit.
Yeah, Jose literally just pitted here some 8 laps ago.
So he's going to be one to really watch. You know, he's on the freshest tires. If anybody can make, you know, an extra stop to get the fresh tires, he'd be the one that it could work for. Of course, he is on the edge of the top 10, or is in the 10th spot right now. And there goes the 22 to the lead. Scott Naslin getting by Randy Mullins. And here comes Brian Johnson. Probably going to be able to get by Mullins as well.
Yeah, Mullins definitely out there. He's struggling a little bit on his tires as he is some 13, 14 laps longer in tooth than these other guys. But it's okay because I do believe, like you said, he's probably going to turn this into a 2-stop scenario for himself, Brian. So just to be interesting to see when he does come down pit road again.
Well, he's got to get clear of these other drivers. I mean, you see Jose Acosta's coming underneath him. I mean, it's hard to go down pit road when you got all these drivers trying to pass you. You know?
Yeah. Think about what you just said. Hey, I'm so slow, but I can't get down pit road because there's so many people passing me.
Exactly.
Yeah, that means he's going to be coming down pit road again then.
Yeah,
just on that sentiment alone, he is going to try to put himself in a position that he can be faster than the other drivers without giving them the benefit of trying to pit again. Because if you think about it, a lot of these other drivers, they're not planning on stopping again. So
no, I don't think they are, yeah.
Yeah, he's got to stay out there long enough that he fools them into believing that they've got this thing sewed up, and then he slips down pit road, takes 4 tires, and he rolls out. And I bet he doesn't take any gas.
Well, then again, I mean, we talked to him earlier, and he did say that he would take gas. He said that.
Roger, yeah, you're right. I'll pick you up at noon tomorrow.
That's true. You are right. He was saying that, I'm going to be really conservative, and then turns around and does the exact opposite. So, I mean, can't trust anything Randy Mullen says.
I mean, why would he tell us anything? I wouldn't. I mean, that's what I think
Keep
it's
it
all.
Close to your chest, yeah.
Yeah, you come out here and you, because people are listening. He knows that. You don't give your cards away, man.
That's right.
Yeah, jump. I'll catch you.
Here comes Jose Acosta. I think he's getting ready to get his lap back. Going to be the 10th car on the lead lap.
And here comes the 9. The 9's coming down pit road as we speak. That's Alexander Carr.
And here we go. Now going to be soon to be 40 laps to go here.
Now remember, Alexander Carr and Randy Mullins are on that same kind of quasi pit schedule there together.
That they are. Of course, now Alexander Carr is 2 laps down, so it's going to be hard for him to make that work.
Yeah, I don't know, though. The 99 and the 54 were battling side by side there. Sorry, that's the 66, man. I'm upside down.
I'm surprised. I was going to say, Chris Johnson's back on the track. How about it? But here comes the 9. Oh, that's going to be an unsafe pit exit.
Is it?
I do believe it will. Probably going to see him come back down pit road because he did hit the blue cone. Anytime you hit that blue cone on the exit of pit road, a lot of times that does equal a penalty.
I'm not seeing anything just yet, so maybe he's praying to those contact gods that everything works out in his favor.
Well, I know he went above the yellow line before the exit of pit road. Hopefully he got lucky. It seems like it. I mean, usually you do that, you definitely get a penalty, but he might have got lucky here.
I don't see how he's going to get lucky. You just told everybody you did it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to give him a penalty, but I think he did get lucky because if he did get a penalty, he would have already probably dropped down pit road to serve it. And like you said, you usually have your finger right on the pulse there of penalties anyway.
So I'm starting to see a connection between analyst and narc.
Oh, wow. Jose Acosta getting his lap back to 22. I don't think wanted to give it back to him because he slowed him down a little bit.
Yeah, but now Jose doing exactly what he needs to do because it's not yet hunting season. So watch that deer run, baby.
And there goes the 9. Look at the fresh tires. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, how important these fresh tires are. The 9 looks like a rocket right now. Of course, Alexander Carr now, I do believe, is still 2 laps down. Jose Acosta, though, has gotten back on the lead lap. Does have the opportunity to maybe catch up there to Mark Sanchez, possibly.
Yeah, and that's going to complicate things because if that's a big if the 12 were going to come down, he's got to come down now. I don't think he stays out much longer and it works.
Take a nice cockpit camera here from Brian Johnson as he catches up to Naslin. Sure, there's going to be a pass coming soon, but this is not going to be an easy pass, I'll tell you that. Naslin has fought really hard to get up here to this lead, and I don't think he's going to give it up easy. Especially when we're coming so close to the end of this race. A couple laps, and then we'll have 30 laps to go. This is that time that you do not want to follow that temptation of overdriving your race car. Do not let the end of this race cause you to drive harder than you should.
Stick to the plan.
Exactly. Stick to the plan. Because all it takes is one little mistake. That's all it takes to hit that wall, and your race could be over. Or even just spin it out. And this is a track that is so easy to spin out on. You got to really be really careful when it comes to your throttle application. We say it at a lot of these short tracks, and this is one that definitely applies. Drive like you got an egg underneath that gas pedal.
Yeah, you absolutely got to roll that throttle, baby. You can't punch it. You can't stomp it. You got to roll it. Especially at this stage, 29 laps to go. I mean, you got to give everything you can. This is conserve mode, man, because it's going to be a stretch for a lot of drivers, man. We're looking at some of these stints that are out here. Some of these guys have been out here for quite a while.
That they have. And we talked about Randy Mullins possibly maybe making it a two-stop. He has not done that. He is now back in 7th and has not done that. So I think his gamble is not going to pay off, but I think he's already made his bet. I think he's going to try to run it out.
I don't know. Stick to the script. I don't know what the script was, but
I think he changed the script.
that seems to be the case. It seems to happen quite a bit.
He's going to have to hope he can stay in 7th because J.C. Evans running quite a bit faster than him. Got to talk about the 14. Definitely a great run. I'd say definitely a great run for that 14 here. J.C., of course, he's usually in the 9 machine, but J.C. Evans definitely putting together a great run.
Look, a lot of drivers here turning in a great run tonight because I'm telling you what, no matter where you're at, if you're still out there running tonight, you're definitely you're doing work and you're getting points, and that's going to be important. A lot of these guys might not be finishing in the top 10, but they did get the ring to bell there for some stage points, and those are going to be way more valuable.
Jose Acosta, despite being on the newer tires, has gone back down a lap.
Yeah, I know.
He got his lap back, and then all of a sudden, right back a lap down again. So it seems like I just don't think that car's handling like he wants it to.
And that could be just indicative of just how much of a struggle it was to try to get a good strong setup underneath the driver here tonight. A lot of drivers came into this thing, and you think, well, Richmond, but how many drivers have actually had the experience of running 70, 80, 90 laps under green at Richmond?
Yeah, not a lot, that's for sure. As we see a big battle kind of coming to fruition here for 3rd place. Josh Schaffner and Shane Parrish. Parrish is putting a lot of pressure on the 50. But we know the Iceman, Josh Schaffner, he usually doesn't fold to pressure.
Long way to go, even though it's 23 laps, though, Brian. I'm telling you, this is where those drivers start getting lured into that false sense of security. You still got to stay to the script. You got to watch the teleprompter. This is not the time to go, out there on your own, if you will. Can't go incognito. Whew, sure glad I got that one right.
There goes Shane Parrish to the inside of the 50, side by side on the backstretch. I think Shane Parrish has the better line at the moment. He does take that 3rd spot. Great move there for the 66. What a race. That 66 has definitely had a fantastic showing here so far tonight. Wouldn't be surprised he might even do a position better. I mean, he's doing some really good laps at the moment. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, if Naslin and Brian Johnson start battling really hard, could we see even a caution? Have not had a caution based on a wreck yet here tonight. But I think the closer we get to the end, the more likely something like that could break out. His desperation starts to hit. Especially, I mean, look at Brian Johnson. Usually he's the cool, calm, collected type, you know. But if he has a hard time getting by the 22, he might use the bumper. I mean, a lot of times, I mean, I know a lot of drivers try to perfect that bump and run. It can be a very hard thing to do. And there it goes. I think he just put a little bit of a bumper to him. Still not able to get him out of the way, though. But look at this. Oh, there he is. Look, more of a bumper. He's giving them shots. He's telling them, hey, I'm here. You let me go. I mean, usually it's 3 strikes you're out when it comes to short track racing. You get 3 bumps. On the third one, you might be going around, buddy.
There's actually like 3.
Whoa. Loose condition. Johnson into the outside wall. Johnson overdriving a little bit, desperate to make the pass, now has fallen back 7/10. He's not out of it yet. Luckily, he did not hit the wall very hard. Definitely lost a little bit of, I'd say, the tread on those tires. This is just what Scott Naslund needs. He can probably breathe a little bit of fresh air right now. Focus forward. When you're at tracks like this, you have to look forward. You cannot look in your rearview mirror. Because as soon as you do, you're going to miss the mark for that next corner. Of course, this is bringing Shane Parrish into the picture a little bit more and more as well. He's about 2 seconds back from the lead. Gotta say, I am really impressed with Ryan Strunk. And I was really impressed with him last week at COTA. I think he was really good at COTA last week. And I think he's showing that, hey, he's getting better at managing these tires. I think the tire update might have suited him a little bit more than I kind of suspected. As he moves up into the top 5, just got by, I do believe, Pasalakwa.
Yeah, I mean, he's got himself a pretty good run ahead, though. He's got some big names ahead of him as well. But 14 laps ago, I don't know if he's going to be able to conquer any more of those guys. Some of them are struggling, as definitely to say the least, Brian. But, man, what a night it's been here tonight. Kudos to you for keeping us afloat, man. I'm telling you, I'm just out there bobbing in the life jacket, and you just kept rowing and rowing and rowing. So definitely appreciate you getting this chick to the shore.
Yeah, definitely very impressed, though, with the 77 right now. I mean, usually he's the one that struggles so much on the long run, and a top 5 run really going to be significant for him. What a run from Scott Naslund. I tell you, like, if you had asked me in stage 2 that this guy will be in the lead, I'd have thought you were joking. I would have been like, no way. There's no way this guy's up in the lead. Because, I mean, he looked like he was struggling in stage 2, but I think that might have been a little bit of some acting possibly from that driver. You know, make these guys sleep on you a little bit, and when you come by him, they're like, where'd he come from? As we're coming up on now 10 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. Can Scott Naslund hold on and get his first win in the ISCA? He's definitely came into this series and hit the ground running.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Brian Johnson's definitely got to be feeling that panic button there starting to kind of illuminate a little bit. He's got yellow lights in the cabin.
Oh! Yeah, I think he's panicking for sure. He just lost second place to Shane Parrish.
Yellow lights turned to red lights in the cabin.
Yeah, I think he was desperate to catch up there to Naslund. I think that he fell into that temptation of driving a little too hard. As Shane Parrish now about a little under a second back from Scott Naslund. Coming up on 8 laps to go. Can Shane Parrish close the distance? Can Josh Schaffner close the distance on Brian Johnson? He sits in 4th right now, about a second back from Johnson. 8/10 separate Naslund and Parrish. The 22 and the 66, I think this is going to come to a battle across the line with the way that he's catching up to him. I don't think Naslund is safe right now. What is Parrish willing to do? Little contact with the wall there for Parrish, but he still is catching. It's one good thing about this next gen. You can touch the wall a little bit. It doesn't slow you down that much. As he's now 3/10 away. Either way, if Scott Naslin wins this race or Shane Parrish wins this race, we got a first-time winner in the ISCA.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian Johnson will be trying to do everything he can to stay afloat because he's got Josh Schaffner quickly breathing down his throat. With 6 laps to go, Schaffner definitely closing that delta a lot quicker than Johnson is keeping it going. So we'll be watching that battle as well. But, man, either way, like you said, we're getting a new winner here tonight in the ISCA, Brian.
Yeah, I think we are definitely going to see history made here tonight. Scott Naslin versus Shane Parrish. Battle of the century here. Here comes Parrish up to the back bumper. Coming up to 4 laps to go. Time is running out. What is Parrish willing to do? Does he give the bumper to him?
I just checked the weather forecast and it's looking pretty bumpy tonight.
It definitely is. Here he goes. He's going to send it. Oh, and not able to quite get there, but he's going to look at the center rotation from the 66. He has got a very good handling car right now. The 22 goes down to try to block.
Yep, he's coming down on the inside, though. You definitely can feel the tension, and you can cut it with a knife. But I'm going to tell you what, he's definitely going to put that forward where it needs to be.
There goes another shot to the rear end of the 22 as we come to 2 laps to go. Can we make it to the white flag? It looks like we're going to run this completely green. What a race to go 250 laps completely green. As we come to the white flag, the 66 is running out of time. Here he comes to the inside. He's going to get him. I think he might get him here.
Oh, he's going to put that forward on the inside, try to make it stick.
Oh, contact!
Oh, that's going to do it for him tonight.
Wow. That is unfortunate for the 66. He had a chance to win this race. I think he almost did it.
Yeah, now he's just going to be trying to hold on for second, Brian.
That he is. As we come across the start-finish line, Scott Naslin is going to be the first-time winner here at Richmond Raceway. What a job from Scott Naslin. As I said before, if you had told me this guy was going to win the race, I wouldn't have believed you. But now I definitely am a believer. As Shane Parrish finishes.
Big shout out to Shane Parrish, though, because he definitely is our biggest mover here tonight. Started this thing all the way back in 14th, bringing it home in second. We're definitely going to be trying to watch the burnout that the 22 of Scott Naslin is going to do because, I mean, why not, right?
100% as he's going to burn it down in the grass. First victory here in the ISCA.
Yeah, everybody on that team gets the order from the adult menu tonight, baby. Hey, and I heard you guys might even get dessert.
That's right. They're taking them out for a pizza party.
Pizza party!
Scott Naslin, though, your victor here tonight. Shane Parrish comes home in second place. Brian Johnson comes home in third, able to hold off Josh Schaffner, who finishes fourth. Ryan Strunk with a race-high fifth tonight. Brandon Pasalacqua finishes in sixth. Seventh place, Randy Mullins, able to hold on to it, even though he had a little bit of an unorthodox strategy. Eighth place, Mark Sanchez. Ninth, J.C. Evans. And 10th, Jose Acosta.
George Carr comes in at 11th. 12th, Alexander Carr. Hey, nice little 1-2 right there. 13th is going to be Greg Wachinski. 14th, Kenny Powell. 15th, Darren Mullins. 16th, Al Koslowski. 17th is going to be Chris Johnson. 18th, Dirk Jacobs. And Paul Olson rounds out the 19-car field. With that said, in our burnout's complete, I'm going to step away, get another word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with our post-race coverage.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tough, bro. We get a hug. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
Your car is everything. Your taxi, your moving van, your baby. And for over 30 years, AutoZone has had the parts you can count on to keep it going. But parts are just part of what we do. We're part buddy, part mentor, part of the American way of doing things. So whether you're Mr. DIY or a master mechanic, AutoZone has your back. Parts are just part of what we do.
Get in the zone.
AutoZone.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we are going to be starting our post-race show here. Brian Johnson, our third-place finisher and winner of Stage 1 and 2, going to be joining us. Brian, man, you almost had it there a little bit towards the end. What did you need to do different there? I mean, it seemed like maybe did you fall to the temptation of maybe trying to chase down Scott?
Yep, just burnt up the rears, dealing with the lap traffic there at the end. Yeah, we had a couple guys that just stayed in the way, stayed in the mix. Not sure why, but yeah, it stinks, but it happens. So congrats to Scott. He most certainly earned that one.
Yeah, that he did. He got himself his first ISCA win for sure. Of course, you still got a tremendous amount of points with Stage 1 victory and Stage 2. Of course, talked about those being the priority, for you. So I know you're probably a little disappointed, a little upset with the lap traffic for sure. But how'd you like Richmond? Did you have at least some fun out there?
Oh, love it, man. Love it. You actually have to drive the cars here once you get some tire wear. You got to manage your tires too. But once you get some wear on them, you actually have to drive the car. So love this track. Yeah, had a lot of fun.
Definitely seemed like some fun out there for sure. If I'm not mistaken, I think we're going to Bristol Dirt next week. Is that correct?
I believe so.
How about that? Go out there, get down and dirty. I mean, do you find yourself being competent at dirt racing?
No, sir. Yeah, that one's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to put in some practice there. I'm not a dirt racer, so we'll put in some practice and we'll see what we can do.
Well, I know this is probably not the first time that the ISCA has visited the dirt track at Bristol there. So, I mean, have you ever done any dirt racing at all, even just like a 305, sprint cars or anything of that sort, or just first?
Yeah, a little bit, mostly rookie stuff. I've dabbled in it a little bit. I'm not good by any means, but I enjoy it. It's a good change. But yeah, it's going to be interesting next week, so it should be a good show to watch.
100%. Definitely going to be getting down and dirty, and going to be probably a lot more hectic than we see here for sure. I know it almost was like dirt track racing here tonight with the way you had to be careful getting back to the gas. But definitely great job to you, Brian. Who can we give a shout out to after your Stage 1 win and Stage 2 and finishing third? So definitely some really good points for you tonight.
Yeah, shout out to Scott, man. He deserved that win. He raced his tail off. Same with Shane. Shane was coming on strong there at the end. So congrats to those two guys. Want to shout out to Southern Spiral Pipe, Butt Kicker, G&G Racing, and Kenny Powell and you guys up in the booth.
All right. Well, thank you, Brian, and great job to you. And hopefully we'll get to talk to you next week for sure at the Bristol Dirt Track.
Yeah, man. See you there.
That was Brian Johnson, our third place finisher and winner of stage 1 and 2. Next up, Big Al standing by with Shane Parrish, our second place finisher.
Shane Parrish, Big Al up in the booth. You got me?
I got you, Big Al.
Man, congratulations to you, good sir. And also congratulations on being a biggest mover of the race. Started this thing in 14th, stayed out there, endured all, and brought it home in second. Everybody on your team gets to eat tonight. They get to order from the adult menu. They even get dessert.
I was going to say I might even open up the dessert. No, it was a great race. It was a lot of fun. Took me about a little over halfway through the race to really start get the feel of the car. EPI started to give us a new setup. Had to make a couple tweaks on it there through the race to get it how I wanted it to come off corner 2 there. It's a little loose, but it came together. It was a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun out there night racing. Everybody raced clean. Want to congratulate everybody in the race. Everybody did well.
So this week, when you were getting everything situated to come out here and run this short track at Richmond, it's hard to duplicate the amount of laps that you run the concession here. So what did you actually do to kind of set that car up for the long run?
Well, moved the left rear tire up a little bit to get a little more bite off so it wasn't so loose. That's basically what I did. Changed my line, gassing and braking, just to get myself a little bit straighter off the corner. That's basically all what I did there to get the car moving the way I needed it to move. I wished I had another 2 or 3 laps, but Scott did a great job up there. Can't say enough. Congratulate him. Brian, thanks for racing me clean back there. When I got to you there a little bit, you got loose. Sorry to seeing that. It would have been a little bit funner, but everybody did great tonight. I had a blast.
And you did awesome yourself, sir. Even down to the end when you guys got a little bit, got there and made contact, actually. Still very, very good racing.
Yeah, I watched the replay from 4 different views while I was waiting to come up and listening to Brian talk, and you guys talk up there, which y'all do a great job, by the way, and thanks to Kenny for letting me come into the league. Appreciate that. Yeah, I was just on it really hard on the gas, a little early. I was chasing it up, and I know he was a little tight and bringing it back down. It looked that way. We were just, it's a racing deal. Scott and I talked. We wish it could have been a little cleaner, but it's racing. We're both good with it, and we had fun. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that looked like you guys were having fun down there. Speaking of which, next week we get to go take a trip a little bit further south there down in Bristol. And it seems we're going to be having our feet dipped in dirt. What are you thinking about that one?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what I think of that one. If I get out there next week and run it, I'll spin out on lap 1, lap 2, and I'll take out half the field. I'm just no good at dirt. I've tried. I'm going to get some further training with some of the guys up there in the Pro Series. Work with EPI a little bit better. Hopefully next year I'll be able to run. But, yeah, no, not a good idea for me. I don't like going out wrecking people.
What? You're not even going to try to give it a go? Come on now. You just did Coda. You just finished on Richmond. I think you could do it, boss.
Man, Big Al, appreciate the confidence, and I guarantee you can say that, and everybody else can say that, but if I get in there and I wreck a bunch of people out, they might have something to say to you next week off the air.
Nah, Kenny won't mind. Well, hey, look here, but before we let you go, congratulations again on your second place finish. Before we let you go, who you shouting out tonight?
Well, I want to shout out, I do a lot of training, been starting here the last few weeks with Mike Conti and EPI, Derek and a bunch of the guys on there. Can't say enough to them and how far I have progressed in the last month in learning how to drive the car better. Look forward to doing more of that. Look forward to hopefully putting my company Mars Properties. We rent some properties in North Carolina. Near the ocean, down near New Bern, Jacksonville, down towards those areas. So if anybody's interested, just hit me up on a private message and I'll get you set up at a reasonable price, fully furnished. But anyway, really thank EPI. I can't thank everybody enough, and you guys up there in the booth do a great job and keep it up. And congratulations again, Scott. It was a lot of fun.
Hey, thank you again, Shane, boss. And yeah, I might hit you up for that. That's my neck of the woods. But anyway, we'll see you soon.
Yes, sir, guys. Thank you much.
Alrighty, that was Shane Parrish, 66, finishing in second place. Definitely had a hot ride, almost won the race for sure. But next up, we're going to talk to the man that did win the race, Scott Naslin, getting his first win here in the ISCA. Scott, I mean, you got to be ecstatic. Looking in stage 2, you looked like you were struggling a lot there, and it didn't. If you were to ask me if you were going to win this race, I would have said no. But then somehow you just showed up there at the end, and you made the right calls. Did you adjust on the car to get it to where it was that good?
Yeah, I ran half of stage 2 in 5th gear with 4th gear setup. Not one of my brightest moments ever. But yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I was wondering what happened to the car, and then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I'm in 5th gear. That's no good.
Well, that's interesting to note for sure, because it definitely seemed like you flipped a switch, and all of a sudden you were just a rocket ship out there for sure. How much does that mean to you to be able to get a win in such a talented series? I mean, so many drivers out here that have a ton of talent, and for wins don't come easy here in ISCA. How's that feel for you?
Oh, you don't know. After the 2 second place finishes I had at Phoenix, really thought I had a really good chance at winning both those races. I'm ecstatic. I really am. I think this gets me into the playoffs now. I'm excited about that. I just can't say enough. I mean, the car was great. I think Brian had the better car, but I think I snookered him on pit road. It was just a ball. It was a great race, all in all.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it was for sure, and especially for it to go green like it did for so long. I know you did kind of do a little bit of a short pit situation there. What was the strategy there when you had both Brian Johnson and Shane Parrish both kind of on your back door? They're even giving you some bumps at times. How did you hold up to that amount of pressure? Because I know they were putting a lot on you.
I was just hugging the bottom. If they were going to pass me, they were going to have to go through me or go on the outside of me. I was just trying to protect the bottom at that point. The car was not as good as I was hoping on the long run. And yeah, I was struggling. 2 more laps. Shane would have gotten around me for sure, but we were getting at it there on the white flag lap, and we got together and didn't really turn out that way.
Yeah, definitely could have went either way in that whole situation, but you kind of came out on top. I know you definitely were protecting the bottom. You kind of took a narrow entry in one of the corners, and I think that's what allowed him to kind of get side by side with you. But you still were able to get the momentum off the corner, and you crossed the line with over a second on Shane Perry. So definitely great job to you. What does this do for your confidence going into tracks in the future?
Well, it doesn't help me at all as far as cookie cutter tracks go, because I'm mediocre at best. I do a little better at the short tracks. I don't know about Bristol Dirt next week, but I'll be putting in a lot of laps trying to get it figured out so I could try to keep a run going here.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a tricky one, I think, for everybody. I don't think it matters what setup you probably bring to Bristol Dirt. You're going to be struggling for sure. But great job to you getting that win, leading 47 laps. Going to be a really good points day for you here tonight. Who can we give a shout-out to after this victory?
Don Wheaton, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Abruzzi Raceware, everybody at Hyper Force Esports. Can't give Brooks and Will Cannon and Andrew Skelnick and enough praise for the setups that they help us get and build. They're just awesome group to work with.
100%. Definitely. Go ahead.
I wanted to give a shout out to Brian Johnson. Ran a hell of a race, led pretty much the whole race, ran a great race. And Shane Parrish, I've been watching him. I know he's pretty new, and he is going to be a force to be reckoned with down the road. So shout out to both those guys too.
100%. Well, definitely shout out to you, sir, for getting your first ISCA victory. I'm sure once you get that first one, a lot of times many, many more come after that. So we wish you the best of luck next week coming into Bristol Dirt. Thanks for your time, Scott, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You as well, sir. That was Scott Naslin, our winner here tonight, and first-time victory as well. That is a huge thing for sure. we don't see a whole lot of first-time winners here in the ISCA. Most of the time, a lot of drivers come out here and just they're so used to driving around each other, but these guys have hit the ground running. They really have. Scott Naslin and Shane Parrish definitely deserve a ton of credit, to come into this series and really just shake up everything, sending a message to all these guys that, hey, you guys aren't the only ones that can get victories out here for sure. And I think Shane Parrish is definitely going to be one that is going to find victory lane sooner rather than later as well. And could that come maybe sooner rather than later? We'll have to wait and see for sure. But final thoughts, Big Al, on Richmond here tonight.
Man, my final thoughts are it did not end anywhere near the way we thought it would. I mean, we saw a completely different ending to a race that we saw run. The first two stages told a different story than the third and final stage. And so with that, I say that is why we race. That's why we run every single lap. So thank everybody for doing what they did, and all of the drivers that came out that made it, and all of the ones that didn't. Hope they all learned something tonight that can maybe help them out in the future. Hope that we touched at least everybody that heard this broadcast. Maybe it was funny or offensive, but at least we got you going a little bit there, right, Brian?
100%. We definitely appreciate everybody out there tuning in. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe on YouTube or Facebook. Give us a follow for sure. Definitely appreciate it. If you liked what you saw here tonight, make sure you reach out to Kenny Powell or even go to the league directory on iRacing and look up the iRacing Stock Car Association and drop an application. We'd love to call your name, like I said, and see you out here in the competition and maybe even winning some races. We'd love to see it for sure. Thanks, everybody, once again for tuning in. And, of course, tune in this Saturday. We're going to be right back here at Richmond Raceway for another 250 laps with a whole new cast of characters for sure. Of course, the likes of Chris Severa are going to be out there, and he's definitely had the hot hand here as of late. But thanks, everybody, once again for watching. And, of course, if you want to keep track of Thursday, make sure you tune in around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be going green a little bit after that at Bristol Dirt, which is going to be quite a crazy race for sure. Haven't seen a whole lot of these next gens out there on that track, and I think a lot of these drivers are going to be spending a ton of time definitely preparing for that race for sure. But we'll see you next time, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the ISCA.